very warm welcome to everybody to our first ever virtual travel talk. Welcome to the first series. Let's get started. So if you're as obsessed with travel as we are, the only thing that comes close to actually hitting the road is talking about it. And given that the furthest most of us have traveled this year is to our local park and back, we're going to get you excited now for 2021 and all of the adventures that hopefully await us. So we've signed up some of the best and brightest travel minds in the business to talk about our #1 favorite topic. My name is Natasha, and it's my job to create Contiki trips, and I'll be hosting today's session. A couple of bits of housekeeping before we get started. First of all, we are recording this session. Secondly, if you have any comments or any questions or any chat, please pop them in the chat as we go, and we'll try and answer them at the end. And finally, we're planning on running for around 45 minutes today, so please stay with us. Okay, and to get into it, our focus of today is Contiki's brand new mini adventures, Detour. For those of you that haven't heard, these are a selection of 14 new trips designed to let you detour from the tourist trail. These trips have just landed on Contiki.com, but me and the team have been spending some time putting them together. So what exactly is a detour? A detour isn't just another holiday. It's travel that connects you, teaches you, and maybe even changes you. It gets you off the tourist trail, learning new skills, discovering spectacular destinations, and all through a local's eyes. These are short and sweet, rejuvenating breaks designed to let you reconnect with yourself and connect with other like-minded individuals, and share your hobbies and your passions with each other. When we say this is travel that teaches you, we really mean it. We've got trips that we're going to teach you how to track wildlife and learn to be a safari guide in the Kruger National Park. We've got trips that teach you how to hunt for truffles with dogs in the Italian countryside, and trips that teach you how to master new surf skills on the Moroccan coastline. And we really believe that these are the kind of trips that will stay with you forever. And who better to explain them today than some of the hosts themselves? These are the real locals who can't wait to show you the world through their eyes. And whether they're master chefs, yoga instructors, safari rangers, or photographers, they all have plenty of skills to teach you. And that's who's joining me today. So a warm welcome to our expert panel. Hi to Elly, to Claire, and to Ben. Hey guys. Ta-da! Fantastic. So I'll start with a quick introduction of everyone on the call, and then we'll get into the questions. First up, I'd like to introduce Elly. Elly's a yoga instructor and surfer living in the amazing North Devon coast in the UK. She's passionate about the ocean and has been running surf and yoga retreats for over 2 years now with her company Swell Yoga. Previous to that, she was a journalist working in London and in Singapore for a number of years. And then we have Claire, who's a keen adventure pursuit. She is a mountain biker, a hiker, a trail runner, and if that's not enough, she also runs her business, Adventure Tours UK, with her husband, Jim. They have a passion for North Wales and to show their guests this amazing part of the country, and also creating positive change for good for our planet. Hi, Claire. And finally to Ben, who's quickly assembled a great background there with his bikes, so he looks super action-packed. But Ben's no stranger to Contiki. He was on the road working for us for 3 years as a trip manager, taking our travelers through Europe and on coach and sailing. And now he's started his own business, Ever Thought of Trying, which offers immersive travel experiences across Europe. So welcome everybody, and thank you very much for joining us. So I'll get into it with the first question, which you've all been emailing and DMing us over the last week or so. And the first question to you, Claire, up in North Wales, why do you think there's been a rise in this experiential style of trip and this experiential style of holidaying that we see that Detour's really responded to? Oh, can everyone hear? No. 1 second, Claire. We'll just bear with us 1 moment.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Perfect. We're online. Go for it.
Excellent. So thank you very much for inviting me to join you, first of all, is what I wanted to say. I was miming to myself. I think it's a great question. And I think really, it's just not enough to simply see a place anymore. You know, we have social media and we have the internet and we have so many different ways to see places. So when we actually get somewhere, by the time we've done all that research, we're probably quite familiar with the visual aspect of a place. So when we arrive, we need more than that. We need to really feel that place. Also, we've got this kind of always on lifestyle where we're always in touch with everybody except for ourselves. I think, if we're honest, we're probably the only people we're not in touch with these days. And we're never really present in the moment. So we're starting to crave these much deeper connections and a real sense of authenticity. It's something that I think many of us miss in day-to-day life, especially in recent months when we've all been living in such confined spaces quite often and not really experiencing the world out there in a meaningful way. So, you know, doing new things, trying new activities, meeting real life people, tasting new food, all of these things are experiences that help us to forge much more meaningful connections. And, you know, I think moving forward, you know, how far we travel will also become less important to people. And the emphasis will be much more about what we do when we get there, not how long it took us to get there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, especially this year when it's been a catalyst for all of the, you know, need to connect with each other.
Yeah.
So Ben, given that and given the time we live in, I mean, from your perspective, why do you think it's, you know, 2021 would be a good time to try a holiday style like this, something more adventurous or off the beaten track?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially this year after COVID and all the restrictions that we're having, I think nowadays, especially next year, we're just not going to take anything for granted anymore. Especially being based in the UK, we're so lucky at having all these budget airlines and what have you. So you can just go to Italy for £40 return or something like that. I think we're just going to stop taking that for granted. So next year, I think what we're going to see is people are going to make the most out of every single travel opportunity they have, which is why things like Elly, Claire, and myself are doing, and what you're doing with the Detour range is fantastic because it gets people out there and it gets you away from that tourist child as much. And it's well, it's like Claire said, everyone now wants to experience things, and that's the best way of seeing a country and experiencing the culture. And that's what we are hopefully going to be doing next year.
Yeah, brilliant. So starting from next year, some more in-depth experiences. But Elly, you've obviously been running your business this summer. It's been challenging. We've had, you know, on again, off again with lockdown approaches to deal with. But I guess the word of the year for tourism was domestic travel and the boom, because, you know, there was nowhere else for us to go. So people fell in love with their own backyard a bit more. So did you see that affect your business this year, or did you see people coming with different attitudes to your trips?
Yeah, big time. In one respect, we were just cashing in on people who couldn't go abroad, which, yes, I'll admit to. But also, I want to build a business that brings people to travel in the UK. I want to create a business that can encourage people to enjoy the countryside that's sort of within reach, and perhaps, where possible, create kind of a smaller footprint to your adventures where you can. So we had a really busy summer. We had a lot of people who couldn't go abroad but might otherwise have gone, and then a whole bunch of people who just wanted to get outdoors, and people who wanted to connect with other people, people who needed to get in the ocean, people who needed to make new friends. Yeah, it was like people were really thirsty for a bit of simple, uncomplicated travel.
Yeah. Agree. There's been a lot of people rediscovered the local, even just their local countryside, but the UK in general. So we kind of touched upon some of those elements, like all of your trips and the trips that we run together. They teach you something. They bring an element to life. But what do you think it is? And I'll start with you, Claire. That why do you think people are so interested in like learning new skills and developing themselves as part of their travel now? It seems like, you used to just go on holiday, but now you're looking to even like enhance that experience even more.
Yeah, I mean, I think human beings, we're inherently curious things, aren't we? That's how we've kind of evolved to where we are. That's why we set sail across the ocean many hundreds of years ago and discovered America and places. We're thirsty for new experiences and new knowledge. And this has been a really hard year for lots of reasons. Obviously, there's been the stress that everyone's had to deal with and all the change that's been happening that we've all found quite unsettling. But mostly what's been really hard, I think, is that we've stopped learning, we've stopped discovering things because our worlds have been reduced to such a small space for most of this year. Often, we're often only seeing one or two people in person. We're living in the same four walls, and we're not leaving our hometowns or maybe a little exploring to the countryside. But that's about it for most people. And for human beings, that's really quite stressful. There's been no new information coming into our minds for us to process, to keep feeding our brains. In fact, there's been some recent studies that have shown that our brain chemistry has actually started to change throughout the course of this pandemic because we're lacking those new experiences. So I think that's really led people to crave, like more people than ever, to crave those kinds of new experiences, to learn things that are going to fire those brain receptors up again and get us excited about life and continuing to grow and learn as people. So whether it's learning a new skill or learning a new language or just pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone and challenging ourselves to do something different, all of those things get our brains all fired up again and get us excited. And we've missed that this year, haven't we? I think that's what's led it to be such a kind of popular style of travel now, because with travel such an obvious way to combine that kind of learning experience. Also, we talk quite a lot about mindfulness at Adventure Tours UK, and I know Elly as well, mindfulness is a big thing for you, and it's proven to really lower stress, which, as I said, has been stress has been a big thing for a lot of us this year, and for various different reasons. Mindfulness is essentially focusing on the present. It's about being in the here and now and not being distracted by things. And there's all sorts of mindfulness meditations and things which we love to share with people. But there's also a really easy cheats guide to mindfulness, which is to give yourself something to focus on. And if you're learning, or if you're feeling quite challenged, out of your comfort zone, then there is no room for distraction. You are automatically very much focused on something, and that gives us that stress relief. So again, that's, I think, a reason why we're all looking for new challenges and new learnings this year.
Yeah, definitely. We saw it from the first lockdown #1, where everybody was like, I'm going to be a baker. Banana bread went mad. People were becoming knitters. But now I think we're ready to get outside, get to the great outdoors again, and start kind of developing different skills. Elly, when people come down to your trips, are they surfers before? Are they yogis before? Or are they just saying, like, let's do something different, I'm up for the adventure?
Almost everybody who comes on our trip sends me a panicky email beforehand being like, I don't know how to surf at all, can I come? And I'm like, you all say exactly the same thing, you're all welcome. I think, yeah, most people are really adventurous. The running theme is that they're up for trying stuff out. So they may not have surfed, but they're just like any age, any sort of background, they just want to try, which is the only compulsory, I think. You don't need to be able to surf. You don't need to have done yoga before. You don't need to have done any of it, just as long as you're open-minded and up for trying stuff out. I think it makes it much easier to teach people, especially I find with yoga, which sometimes people can come from really different levels of experience or different backgrounds. It's much easier to teach people if they don't have any background. And then what you end up teaching them is kind of just a mix of whatever they need. We usually meet on the first night that people arrive, and we don't do any yoga on the first day. We just kind of have a chat and get to know each other, and gives me a chance to work out sort of what people need. You can have a kind of assess, like, this group, they just need to be told that they can relax, and we're just going to do super long relaxation classes, and we're going to spend most of the sessions just napping. And then other groups, you're like, we need to get these people sweating. They're going to do push-ups for an hour and a half. It's just sort of, yeah. I think maybe it's lucky they haven't done yoga before, so then I can make up the classes that I feel like they need, and they're not gonna know that it's not perhaps the most formulaic yoga practice.
Yeah, awesome. Just come with an open mind and then ready to enjoy. And Ben, you are running some of our quirkiest detours. So, I mean, what kind of motivation do people have to join you on the truffle hunting experience we've put together in Italy, or the wine cycling through the vineyards of Burgundy? Obviously, those are not maybe previous passions, but just like, I'm up for that. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, I think the key thing really is that nowadays people, they want to do something different, and they want to really know and understand the culture and experience it, but from a different way. So that can either be from a perspective. So with truffle hunting, you're going with a truffle hunter who's been doing it. He's like a third generation truffle hunter in Rome. Just outside, he has his dogs. Everyone loves dogs. They love cutting with dogs, going through the woods. You then work out how to get truffles. I mean, why can't we smell it? Why can only dogs and pigs smell it? You learn that one. You pick them yourself, and when you get them, because truffles is such a strong flavour, you actually learn how to cook with them when you're out there. So things like that, where you're seeing it from a perspective of someone who is purely Italian, you want to dial down a bit more, is purely Roman, and is seeing how he has been brought up, his culture from his perspective, which I think is what people want. And it can also flip it another way, where people want to see and experience a country in a different way. So that can be by a bike, for example. So I mean, I love cycling. It is one of my passions, and I love wine. So the obvious thing then was to combine the two somehow. That's what we've done in Burgundy. And I think just going to vineyards and drinking is, I mean, that's obviously fantastic. But if you can add in a bit of cycling there, and we're not talking kilometers and kilometers, Tour de France style stages here, we're talking 20, 30, 40 Ks maximum a day. It's a little bit like Elly said, where you don't really need to be a pro cyclist. You don't need to own 5 different types of lycra. You can just wear what you want, because it's not going to be hard cycling, but it does help experience and see it from a different way. Because if you're just getting trains or buses or planes through a country, it is a quick way of getting there. But when you're seeing it with your own 2 eyes, and you're going through the land yourself via bike, I think there's no better way of seeing a place. And I think that is exactly what people want to do nowadays, and will especially be the case in 2021 when they've not left the house so much, and they just want to see it all, but see it properly and see it differently.
Yeah, awesome. So lycra, not obligatory, but if you want to. But the most important thing is to enjoy the wine.
Yeah.
Amazing. So we also sort of mentioned that detour trips are off the tourist trail because, you know, you three are great examples of not operating in major tourist hubs, but showing people those destinations to their best. So question would be, would you still recommend these style of trips to someone who's maybe it's their first trip abroad and they want to see the sights? So I'll throw that one to Elly first of all.
If it's someone's first trip to the UK from abroad,
yeah,
God, I think it's great. Like, you definitely be getting a taste of the UK. I think it would surprise people how popular surfing is in this part of the world, because people who come from abroad never connect surfing with England. They're like, why would you want to get in the ocean in this cold, wet country? But there are so many surf spots, there's so many surf shops. I think someone was telling me she runs a B&B, and she said she had a guest come stay from Hawaii in her B&B, and was amazed that there were more surf shops in like the local town here than there were in their town in Hawaii. So I think we just go mad for it. So I'd love to, bring somebody from abroad and have them get a taste of our like warped British version of surf culture, or unique British version of surf culture.
Yeah. Unique and hardy. Yeah. And Claire, what about you? If it's someone, they've come into London, they've maybe seen the sights, would you say it's nice to spend some time outside of the major cities as well?
Oh, absolutely. And I think there's no greater contrast to London or any other city than getting out into the hills of North Wales. It's a beautiful place to be, and it's the absolute opposite of, I think, what most people expect of the UK. You think of the UK and you do tend to think cities, shopping, football, and we don't do any of that. We do, open hills, and we do beautiful coast and waterways and relaxing, and the only sounds you'll hear are the birds around. And I think discovering the it's a green place that we live in. I think really it's all about the countryside, but people from abroad seem to associate us with other things like the cities. So absolutely, come to North Wales, discover glamping. It's absolutely gorgeous. Try some stand-up paddleboarding, go foraging. It's my favourite thing. I think taking people down a country lane and showing them that you can just stop and pick things from the hedge and eat them, or take them back and cook them and turn them into a delicious meal. I think that's just a different side of the UK that everyone should see.
Yeah, awesome. And Ben, when people do your trips, do they tend to combine up? Like, for example, will they go to Paris for a few days and then drop down into Burgundy, or will they spend some time in Rome before they come up and do the travel hunting? Is it sort of a add-on experience to another trip?
Yeah, just that. And I don't think that's necessarily essential, but just in terms of the travel hub, getting to and from the places, one of the best things about these two trips in particular is you are starting and finishing in two of the greatest cities that are in the world. So if you'd honestly be remiss to not go out there and experience it at the same time. But yeah, I pretty much echo exactly what Elly and Claire said. I think once you get out of the big cities and out of these tourist hubs, as it were, I think the value of the experience that you're getting when you're traveling is far greater. So I don't think it's a massive problem if you do decide to skip Paris completely. Let's say you come on a wine cycle and you go to Paris and you're only there to get on the metro to get the train down to Bergen. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. If you want to see Paris, watch a show on Netflix. If you want to experience France, come on a detour.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's good, fantastic to combo them up, especially if it's your first time, but you've got like two slices of life almost, with the big city lights and then, real people immersive experiences, and trying to combine them works really well. So I'm just going to shift tack slightly now and talk about kind of, I'm going to give you all a situation, and we all have this. So we all have that one friend who goes to the same place every year, goes to the same holiday, books the same situation. We call them a fly and flopper in the travel business. You've all heard that phrase before, I'm sure. So you have to try and persuade that one friend that it's not this, they don't want to go on this same holiday this year. You want to get them to taste something else, try something else. So what would be your sales pitch to that buddy or that pal? Ben, you can go for it, because I reckon you've got a good sales pitch.
In terms of going travel hunting sort of thing, or what?
Yeah, if you were just like, let's not go on the holiday we go on every year, let's do something completely different, if they were nervous.
Yeah. I'll just tell them that the nervousness and the energy you get from nervousness, that emotion, that's going to make the trip even better. Because I think we've all been there before, where we go to a place or we try to do something and we've had that hype before, where you think, oh, it's going to be exactly like I saw it in this film, I saw it like in this TV show, it's going to be exactly the same. When it turns out it can sometimes be a letdown. So I'll just tell them, open your mind up, open your taste buds up, open up your different wine glasses, and if you come with us, you're going to see and experience and taste some of the best things that you're going to have, which you can't really get an experience if you are just going to the same beach in Tenerife, which I have done before, but this is nice in itself. But these things are definitely much better if you get a comfort zone, because that fear factor, almost the unknown factor, that is what makes some of the best trips. And I would just tell my mates to just follow me and to trust me, and yeah, that would be it.
Nice one. Claire, what about you? Yeah, I think like Ben said, really, kind of reminding them how exciting it is to discover the unknown. I think I'd probably want to remind them how they found that place, their favourite place that they like to go back to time and time again. How did they find it in the first place? At some time they went there for the first time, and wasn't that really exciting, and didn't it change their life because they've wanted to go back there ever since? So let's find the next place that's like that. You know, you've done it once, you didn't get hurt, it was an amazing experience, you want to keep reliving it, let's do it again. Find somewhere new, discover something different, and maybe try and tap into what it is that they really like about, what is it that they like about that place, and maybe try and assimilate it slightly to the new destination you're taking them to.
Nice. Elly, any final thoughts on your pitch?
I was just thinking that person is my sister. So I love traveling, and I've traveled like for 10 years and on my own and done all these adventures. And my sister gets nervous looking at her passport because she cannot face the thought of even leaving the country. So yeah, if I was going to try and persuade my sister to do an adventure with me, I think I'd probably sell the fact that we've just come through a global pandemic, and who knows what life is going to look like next year and the year after that. So you've got to do this stuff. I don't know if it would get her out. I don't know if it would get her to like hold her passport in her hand, but I'd give it a try.
Good, yeah, good or great ideas. Okay, and so you all own your own businesses. You all, a couple of you I definitely know sort of started in more traditional corporate careers and then took a change of tack. Ben, you worked on the road for us for a number of years and then started your own business. I'd love to know a little bit really about what the inspiration was and what the passion was for you to sort of go out on your own and take your passion and your hobbies and put it into your career. Ben, do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was pure selfishness, really. I mean, it's like we were talking beforehand about what would you tell someone who wanted to go somewhere, who kept going to the same place, or you try and convince to go something different. That buzz that you get, especially when I've got a very unique perspective in that I was on Contiki beforehand. I worked for on the road for a few years, but even if you haven't, every time you go on holiday, that little buzz you get, a bit of excitement, that is not an easy thing to replicate when you're just leaving it completely from a drop of a hat. I mean, come to London and living here for a few years. So for me, it was just a way of getting that buzz back, getting that adrenaline pumping again. And the way that I could do that, I thought was, well, I can just try to give this a go, see if I can turn what I love to do into a sort of way that I can pay my rent and pay for my food. And luckily, I've been able to achieve that for most parts. And yeah, it has just been just pure selfishness, to be honest. You just want that buzz back, and as much as you love helping people go out there and discover new places, that is an incredible thing. It is one of the perks for sure, is the fact that when you're coming on one of our bike rides, for example, I will be the one leading you, and I do have a passion for leading people throughout France, for example, and showing people why they cook food like this, why the different regions have different dishes. I love talking about the history of a country. I love talking about the culture of a place. That is what I love doing. And if you're gonna live your life, you might as well do something that you love doing. And talking, cycling, eating, drinking is what I love doing. And that just happily enough falls into what travel can give you.
Awesome. Yeah, brilliant inspiration there. Elly?
I had always sort of like lived in two places in my mind, and one part of that was like a career that would involve living in a city, a career that required me to live a certain kind of a lifestyle, and then the other part of my mind just always wanted to live outdoors and be by the ocean and be able to like surf or at least be outdoors in some aspect. And like kind of the whole way through uni and work, it was like I was two people, and eventually I just got to the point where I was like, I'm just gonna do it, and I made it like an idiot. And I remember I bought a van, which was like my first step into the world of being able to like perhaps start running small trips and being able to get down to the ocean more often and surfing and stuff like that. I remember buying a van and just like driving out this guy's house where I bought this secondhand van and feeling like I just lost the plot. I was like, why am I doing this? I look completely nuts. I'm just driving this like weird old van that smells of dogs. And what am I doing this for? And then, you know, slowly it starts working and things start kind of feeding back to you, and you realize, oh, all that madness and like the big jumps that were scary, like Ben says, the stuff that's scary is the stuff that pays back. So yeah, it's sort of a couple of leaps of faith, and yeah, I kind of created a life that I really love, and I'm very grateful for.
Amazing. Yeah, two warring sides of your brain, then you cut one side off and drove away.
I just cut out the academic side, so I don't need it anymore.
And Claire, what about you and your husband Jim when you started the business?
think my story is actually scarily similar to Elly's, really. Again, I was from a very corporate background. My husband isn't at all corporate. He runs a mountain bike centre, so he's kind of been living the dream for years as far as I was concerned. And I was driving to work every day, to work in an office in the city and spending all my time in London and Liverpool and places. But then about 12 years ago, I moved to Wales, so I stopped having to drive every weekend to go mountain biking, which I just spent every moment of spare time mountain biking. And then eventually I took up trail running as well. And I've always loved hiking because I'm a big dog person, so I'm always out there running or hiking with my dog. And eventually I just had an opportunity a couple of years ago to jump off that kind of rat race, leave the corporate world behind, and I think I got to a point where I felt like I was living to work, and work seemed to be creeping more and more, kind of, or encroaching more and more on my time to do the things that I was really passionate about. So I think it was just a chance to stop, take stock of everything, and think life's too short. I need to do something that I really care about now. And if I can do something that incorporates those passions of mine, which is being outdoors, it is the beautiful hills where we live, it's the mountain biking, trail running, and anything else that just gets you outdoors and gets the heart racing, then that would be a really cool thing to do. And I've also probably always been a bit of a closet kind of tree hugger type fluffy bunny person. And you know, I've always been really super conscious about making the right decisions to try and have as little impact on the world as I can. And I just thought, actually, this is a chance for me to now create a business where I've got a bigger platform for doing that. And I think, you know, businesses need to take more responsibility moving forward. And I'm really proud that I've had the chance to build my own business and to start doing that.
Yeah, amazing. I think all three of your stories about like lining up who you are as people with what you do in your day to day. So really amazing and inspirational stories. So I've got two final questions, maybe a bit more, maybe some personal questions to close up, and then more about what we're going to do, where people are going to go next year. So my first question is just a round robin to everybody, and you can do this quick fire. Like, what's the best holiday you've ever had and why? So I'll go with Elly first.
You went with me because I was wincing. I was going,
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Really hard to know. But I did, when I trained to be a yoga teacher, I went to Bali and trained and did my training, which was this incredible experience. And then after that, I traveled around the islands, sort of either side of Bali for a couple of months. And it was just this dream trip of discovering something new in my yoga training, and then surfing all these incredible remote spots. So yeah, I don't think I could have topped that.
Nice. Claire?
The one that stands out really is probably less a holiday and more of a travelling experience. After university, I jumped ship and I travelled around Southeast Asia for 6 months, and it was the best 6 months of my life, doing Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, Malaysia, Sumatra and Singapore, and it was incredible, and it shaped my life moving forward. And I learned to scuba dive, which is my absolute passion that I don't get to do so much in the UK.
Amazing. And Ben, your first Contiki trip?
My first Contiki trip.
No.
that was incredible. It was a 25-day trip. That was amazing. But no, I think my favourite holiday was probably a cycle I did with a mate. We went from Paris to Nice. It took us 5 days, and I had 15 croissants in those 5 days. And it was the best thing I've ever done. So I would say that.
Amazing. And then just as we're all, hopefully we've got some positive momentum coming through in the last couple of weeks with news on the vaccine, and hopefully we're starting to begin to think that travel is on the horizon, not in the far distance. So where are you thinking, like where are you Skyscanner searching for your trips for next year? Where's your #1 destination for 21? And we'll go for the same order again.
I am gonna go to Portugal and do a tour from Lisbon down the coast to the Algarve, and I want to get a train all the way there. Not actually the same train, but I want to travel there by train, surf, and get friends to help me travel down the coast and then get the train back.
Nice. Train from the UK?
Train from the UK to Portugal with my surfboard.
Take lots of pictures. And Claire?
We're torn over 2 destinations, actually. I'm overdue a honeymoon. I got married 2 years ago. We still haven't actually had our honeymoon. I want to go to Belize. My husband wants to go to Costa Rica. They're pretty close together, so I reckon we can make this work without divorce happening. So I just want to go scuba diving in Belize. It's been at the top of my bucket list forever. And he wants to surf Costa Rica because he's a massive surfer. So they're the 2 places on our list.
Amazing. Ben, where are you off to?
I want to go to Japan. Never been there, and I just want to eat all the sushi, all the ramen, and just see everything there because it's just so it's Japan, isn't it? That's something that I've always wanted to do. And if COVID taught us anything, you just don't know what's around the corner, so you might as well do it now.
Yeah, no, all amazing, amazing destinations. So thanks so much for sharing your stories, for telling us a bit more about the experiences that are running together, and also, your businesses and why you set them up. I think it's been really inspirational, and hopefully everybody's enjoyed it listening in. So all we've got time for today. So I'll leave it there. We'll leave it for everyone to say goodbye. I'm Natasha. It's been amazing speaking to you all. And you can check out all of our trips on contiki.com. All of our detour trips are up there, as well as the ones that these 3 are hosting. We're off to Costa Rica, Sri Lanka, and Uganda, along with some other amazing locations. So thanks for joining for our first travel talks. Apologies for the initial slight technical glitches, but it wouldn't be 2020 without it. And we hope to see you all back on the road very soon. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
Catch you soon. Bye.